I will present our research on Saint Helena called the project is called AtlantAves, and the main aim is reviving the ancient island wildlife, mainly the birds, but also large parts of the context earlier than human arrival, mainly, and what happened since. So I want to thank all the co-authors, all the collaborators in France, in the UK, and on Saint Helena. So I will pass this because it was, of course. So beside everything that is very well known about Saint Helena, we focused on special aspects of the evolution of wildlife and anthropic extinctions. So human arrival 500 years ago caused a lot of extirpations, which are regional extinctions, and total extinctions in plants, animals, and including, of course, in birds. This is because of direct anthropic impacts and indirect ones, such as importation of non-indigenous mammals, some of which are predators of birds, of course, and later also introduction of non-indigenous birds. But here also you have indigenous birds as well on this slide. Research on extinct birds, of course, are based on fossils or subfossils, and bird fossils are known since were known since Darwin period, and progress has been made by Philip and Myrtle Ashmole and Storrs Olson mainly, and we started our own research 2 years ago. Mainly, Olson described most of what is known of the extinct, of the fossil birds, including extinct species, of course, like this large petrel, a very enigmatic small cuckoo, a large, mostly flightless dove, 2 rails, a crake and a larger rail, and Saint Helena hoopoo. Since a few years ago, until a few years ago, the main sites known were these ones. 3 sites at Sugarloaf, the very rich Prosperous Bay site, Dry Gut, and Sandy Bay were the main known sites. A research by Colin Lewis, like 15 years ago, almost 20 years ago, led to some radiocarbon dates, but quite limited. They are indicated on this slide. And in between, Olson suggested and encouraged more research, especially because the fossils are continuously washed into the sea due to a very strong erosion on the island. And so we started the project 2 years ago with, so here are the main people in the field. So I let you read. I will not, because the time is limited, so I will not present everybody, but you can recognize people on this slide. So I want to warmly thank everybody, and especially people in Saint Helena who welcomed us 2 years ago, and also this year, last summer. It was really fantastic as usual. The fossils we find are mainly on the surface, so we we collect them by bone picking, and we find all elements of the skeleton, including very fragile skulls. And we also do sieving, which is very important to collect the most tiny parts. So 2 years ago and this year we did more exploration of the known sites. Then we discovered or almost discovered or rediscovered additional sites. And we did more prospection, some of which was not successful in terms of fossils, in terms of bird fossils, essentially, but it's still very important to make more prospection because we want to, if possible, to find more sites, and we would like to find more sites inland, away from, more distant from the coast. This year we did also a lot of sedimentology research with my colleague Philippe Sorel, who was on the slide, 2 slides before, who is a sedimentologist, and we did quite important progress in our understanding of the sites. So in some sites the fossils are linked to sandy deposits in red. In other sites they are mostly alluvial, and the main hypothesis for the sandy deposits is that the sand was blown by wind when at lower sea levels during the last glacial period. Quite big platforms all around the island, in fact, were emerged, and the sand was blown by the wind. We also did, thanks to Devlin, a drone survey at Prosperous Bay, which will be very useful to better understand the whole sedimentological context as well. We found a lot of material. Like in 2 years ago, we collected 7,000 fossils and many bird bones, as you can see. These are small samples, but also, for example, 2 feathers, a lot of eggshells and some complete eggs at one site, plant material, fossil wood, charcoal, guano, land snails on some sites. So that's very diverse, and it will help us in the rest of the study, which I will present later. For concerning the birds, we did a lot of progress. We found additional species, additional occurrences on some sites. Also additional bones which were not known before for some extinct species. So, which are shown in green, and in red, new species occurrences. So this is for sugarloaf sites. So we found, for example, we found the hoopoe, which was not known before on these sites. At Prosperous Bay, we found a lot of material. It is the richest of the sites. We found additional bones of the very rare cuckoo. Among others. We also found, at Prosperous Bay, we also found possibly a new species of passerine, and now it's a certain new species, extinct species of smaller dove, which we will describe soon.
Antoine, 5 minutes, please.
Yes, okay. Oh, this one is problematic. I need to. Sorry, because of the animation. Okay, so for dry gut, the same. We found new occurrences and new elements, and for the at Sandy Bay as well at Lot's Wife, which is a new site we collected on. We found also, of course, new occurrences, new elements of the hoopoo as well. We collected 7,000 fossils 2 years ago and slightly fewer fossils this year, but because this year we also did more prospection and more sedimentological research. These are, I will go faster, but I wanted to show you some bones. So these are examples of the bones we find for Oceanodroma castro and Pelagodroma marina, two small pelagic birds. Puffinus lerminieri, which is very abundant. The extinct petrel, Pterodroma. Frigate birds, almost only at Prosperous Bay because the bones are so fragile. We have other species, terns, booby, and the Saint Helena plover. Large shearwater, the small crake, the larger rail. We found a new bone that was not known before, for example, which is the upper beak. The large dove, the pigeon, Saint Helena flightless dove. Bones of the hoopoo. And these are new bones that we found for the cuckoo, because earlier the cuckoo was known only for scrap, a very fragmentary part of the humerus described by Olson, and we found a new humerus part and a complete femur, which is really fantastic, in fact. For the rest of the project, we now have funding from French government for the next 4 years, and we will make more study of the fossils, but also paleogenomics, biogeochemistry, and more datings of the site, which will be done very soon. On the context, also, we will work on the sedimentology. We will work on pollen, charcoal, wood, other plant material, as well as the land snails, which are very interesting. All this will lead us to, this is an example of kind of a rendering of like a synthesis of what we hope we will find. From the oldest sites, which are late Pleistocene, to the present, from the left to the right. And here is a curve of the climate. We will have occurrences of bird species. We will have data on the calcium isotopes for some seabirds. We will have genetic data from paleogenomics, and we will plot everything along these in front of different events that occurred during time, especially climate warming at the end of the Pleistocene, of course, so climate change, and of course the arrival of man and all the anthropic impact. So this is the goal, the larger goal of our study, is to have a better understanding of the whole context of the evolution of wildlife and then extinction of species due to anthropic impacts on Saint Helena. We will also extend this to Ascension Island during the next 4 years. And then to conclude, there is a large part for artistic and scientific rendering, which is mainly done by our colleague Julian Hume. So this is an example of what he's doing on other islands. This is on Lord Howe Island. This is on Aldabra Atoll in the Seychelles. And also imagining future environments like on Aldabra. So Julian will be able to do that for Saint Helena. He already started. He's done stamps for the post of Saint Helena, illustrating the extinct birds. And then we encourage participative science, and also, which is very new in paleontology, we encourage the collecting surface fossils and giving them to the museum. There is in our project a large part for outreach and a future exhibition, hopefully. And of course, all the fossils will be returned at the end of the study to the Museum of Saint Helena. So thank you for your attention.